gentleman from Kentucky, Mr. Barr, is recognized.
If ESG is capitalism, why do we need the government to interfere in the free market? That's what ESG is. That's what the SEC is doing. One of the bills noticed for this hearing is the Ensuring Sound Guidance Act, my bill that amends the Investment Advisors Act of 1940, that provides that pecuniary factors may not be subordinated to or limited by non-pecuniary factors in determining whether an investment advisor is acting in the best interest of a customer. That doesn't take away choice. It merely says that if you want to invest in an ESG fund, it should be disclosed, and that this fund is not designed to maximize returns. But it doesn't take away the choice. Now, as you have heard earlier, ESG defenders in this hearing and elsewhere have responded with hysterics, even invoking Trotsky to conflate non-owner stakeholders, woke institutional investors, and proxy advisory firms for bona fide shareholders. There is a difference between, as Mr. Cunningham has pointed out in his prepared testimony, an institutional investor and the actual beneficial owner of the capital. And by and large, beneficial owners of capital in America, the retail investors who are the actual shareholders, they don't care about ESG. They don't. FINRA and the University of Chicago has done a survey of retail investors in America, the owners of the companies, not the institutional investors, the actual beneficial owners of the capital, and less than a quarter of them even know what ESG stands for. Materiality. Materiality. They don't care. They want returns. And so my question is, let's get to the crux of this, Mr. Zeiker and Mr. Cunningham. You heard my friend from Minnesota, my former colleague, say, quote, ESG best practices and high market returns can go hand in hand. My friend from Illinois, who is a defender of ESG, says this all the time. What is it? Is ESG investing actually compatible with maximizing pecuniary returns, Mr. Cunningham?
Well, the temperature has certainly risen in the room. ESG investing is a loaded term, and if you're just solely guided by certain aspects of it, that is not the route to long-term economic prosperity. It's
Mr. Copeland?
Two different lanes.
Mr. Copeland, ESG investing consistent with maximizing returns? When social and political issues are prioritized over financial performance, is that conducive? Is that compatible with maximizing returns?
It's incompatible with maximizing shareholder returns in the long run.
Mr. Zeiker?
Well, it is incompatible in the long run because imposing artificial constraints on investment choices cannot be consistent with the maximization of long-run returns. I will say, however, Congressman, that that's not quite the right question. The right question, which we've kind of dodged in this hearing thus far, is not whether people have the right to invest in ESG initiatives, however those are defined. The issue is whether regulatory agencies should be creating conditions in which they are forced to do so. And that is the crux of the problem, is that the SEC has promulgated regulations which have led to an environment in which firms are forced to use proxy advisors. They are forced to adopt the recommendations of the proxy advisors. The proxy advisors have no responsibilities in a fiduciary sense to the shareholders and bear none of the attendant costs. That is the problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. And that's why this is not the free market. It is government intervention to distort the free flow of capital. Mr. Copeland, let me finish with you on what the prudential bank regulators are doing. The Fed is pursuing a climate scenario analysis pilot program. The OCC, FDIC have all promulgated draft principles for climate-related financial risk management. NCUA has separately begun assessing climate risks. Is this effort about assessing climate-related financial risk, or is it about creating financial risk for energy companies by redirecting capital away from those energy companies?
It's absolutely about the latter. And the access to free credit, not to free credit, but to the free access to credit so that everyone on an equal playing field, compete with credit is really important. And we heard across the aisle someone concerned.
Yeah, and in my remaining time, I'll just say, I don't understand why anyone would say this is about assessing climate risk. Increasing energy prices does not stabilize the economy. Depriving energy companies of access to capital
has expired.
does not promote financial stability.